Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Data Dialogues. Today, we're talking about data warehouse automation with a focus on Data Vault with Alexis Desai and Bryan Thomas from WhereScape. WhereScape specialise in helping IT organisations of all sizes leverage automation to design, develop and deploy data infrastructure faster. Both Alexis and Bryan are highly experienced solution architects at WhereScape, so they're the perfect people to talk about the benefits of automating a data warehouse. Hey Bryan and Alexis, thanks for joining today. Bryan, could you tell us about yourself?
So my name is Bryan Thomas, and I'm a solutions architect for WhereScape, but probably it's more important that I'm a 20-year Oracle DBA, and I've been building data warehouses since the 1990s. So I'm excited to be here.
Great, thank you. And Alexis?
Hi, so I'm Alexis Desai. I am also a solution architect with WhereScape, and I've been doing data management probably for about 20 years and data warehouse implementations for maybe the past 15 years. So a lot of experience with implementing data warehouses from scratch, as well as using automation tools.
Great. Thanks for both joining today. Obviously, WhereScape and Certus have a very strong partnership. Certus is a reseller for WhereScape in this region, and obviously we've developed the Iris platform, which is a packaged Data Vault solution that really runs on top of the core value props of WhereScape, and obviously WhereScape's a big part of that. So we wanted to have a bit of a chat today, I think, about Data Vault automation or warehouse automation, specifically around data vaults. I was talking to Gartner earlier in the year to some of their analysts at the Gartner conference that we have in this region. And an interesting kind of tidbit of information that they shared with me was when they're talking to their customers and doing their advice, that if someone's saying they want to do a data vault, they tend to tell them that if they don't invest in automation, that they're likely to probably move away from Data Vault in 21 months. And they've tracked it to that very specific number. And I think it kind of points out that, that automation is really critical to getting the value out of the Data Vault methodology and seeing those benefits for agility and extensibility that people talk about. So, Bryan, can you maybe talk to us about automation? Why is it important in the context of warehouses? What does it do? What does it help deliver?
Sure. So one of the things is that, as he brought up, it's not just Data Vault, but all data warehouse projects fail at a large rate. Sometimes I've seen things as high as 50%. They just fail. So automation, to me, keeps you in the game longer. So we will go through, when I'm showing a demonstration of our WhereScape Red, our core flagship product, and I will build a very simple hub and spoke model or a star schema and really show how that automation can happen in the space of an hour. I can build out what, as I said, I've been doing data warehousing since the 90s. And the first data warehouse I was on, we built just a simple star schema using a product like MicroStrategies. And that took us 6 months to build out the entire data warehouse. And I do that every day when I do a demonstration in about an hour. That's the power of automation when it comes to data warehousing. And one of the things is that each time you make a change with a data warehouse, the traditional way without using Data Vault, you have to go back and test everything, even if you don't make a change, but you have to test the whole process. That's one of the things that excited me about Data Vault, is that because you basically tack on something new, you add a new hub, a new link, a new satellite, you're not changing your entire data warehouse. So the automation process for that speeds up the development of it, and then the cost of it becomes a lot lower because of that. Because you don't have to keep adding on, and incremental changes have incremental costs. With Data Vault, you really are just paying for your one little change. You're not paying to retest everything as part of your automation as well. So Good question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important. So Alexis, can you talk to us a little bit about where WhereScape came to focus on data automation and the relationship with Data Vault, in particular, automating data vaults?
So, WhereScape is a company that started with, it was an in-house consulting company. So they developed the tool really to help their internal customers to be able to deliver quicker in the New Zealand market. And they went to market with their warehouse automation tool. And Dan Lindstedt, who's the founder of the Data Vault methodology, was very impressed by what he saw in this automation tool. So in 2016, he partnered with WhereScape to develop Data Vault automation. And so he's been very, very involved in how we develop the tool and how we continue to develop the tool, and make progress in it. And it's very standardized. We follow all of the best practices, and Dan is very involved in making sure that it is up to his Data Vault 2.0 standard. So that is how we and we continue to work with him, which is great because that allows us to not only implement as he grows his product and makes changes to his methodology, we also do that. So you're always getting the latest standards and best practices.
Yeah, I know Dan puts a lot of effort into continuing to evolve the standards, and it's great that you guys have that relationship with him to continue to make sure that the WhereScape automation capabilities meet the current standards. We've seen that in action, so that's really cool. So Bryan, what are the key advantages that a customer gets out of using automation with WhereScape?
Well, that's a great question. So, we have two products. We have one that's called Red, which is your development platform, and you use that to actually build your hubs, links, and spokes, build your staging tables, even go as far as building your star schemas and your business vault. All of that is built in Red. But we also have a product called 3D, and that's really where the key advantage for it. So you use Red and you automate the process, but 3D is the design tool that then you can take and you start off with your design. You start off with your source, and you go to your hubs, links, and satellites, and then we have automation built in so that you can easily click a button and create the load tables, the stage tables, even your pits and bridges and things after the fact. That's where the automation comes in. We're automating even the automation process. So that's where I see the key advantage to automation with WhereScape is we can assist you with that. It is also easy to progress through your development platforms. You go from development to test to production. You click a few buttons and you can take your code and deploy it to your user acceptance test platform, and it's already automated the loading of that platform for you. So that's really where I see our key advantages for our software is.
Yeah, and there's obviously huge financial benefit from not having a huge team of ETL developers sitting there coding and making code that they're going to probably change, within a month or two, and so that process. I mean, we've seen also when customers have a demand for some new information quickly, with automation, you can run, we've run sprints in a day where we've actually loaded, additional data sources into the vault and had a prototype report before the end of the day. And you couldn't do that without automation, clearly. So Alexis, how broad can automation stretch? What's possible at the moment and maybe what's coming?
So, when you talk about automation, as Bryan mentioned, we have two separate tools. We have Red and then we have 3D. So with 3D, you're able to go in and discover your data. So discover your source. You're able to profile your data, set different metrics that maybe you want to profile. So this allows, your analysts, your developers to go in, look at the data. You're able to show this to your business users and kind of prototype on the fly versus, going back and forth in emails and having to kind of nail down your requirements. So you're really able to get through the whole life cycle of the data warehouse much quicker. Right now, we're able to connect to the source. We're able to build load tables, stage tables. And when you think about that, you're talking about all of the metadata columns that go into Data Vault, creating your hash keys, your change keys, all of these things that if you were doing manually, it's very prone to error because it is very detail oriented. And then you're also developing, hand coding all of this. So with automation, it's going to save you that whole, time frame of doing that manually. But currently we're able to load and take that all the way through the entire data warehouse life cycle, all the way recently to being able to build pits and bridges, as Bryan mentioned. So it's really the entire data warehouse life cycle. It allows your business user to connect. Anybody that has a connection to the data warehouse can query it and get the information that they want out of our tool. So
That's
because
great. I was maybe just going to mention, just for anyone that's new to the Data Vault Alliance community listening to this, a pit and a bridge is a point in time table and a bridge table, which are both parts of the Data Vault methodology that help you speed up that consumption end. So where you actually get to the reporting and helps you manage joins and queries and all those sorts of things to speed up that end, which has traditionally been a challenge for Data Vault. So until those two changes came along to the methodology. So Bryan, maybe question for you. Do you have any specific tips or tricks that you'd like to share? What kind of pitfalls that people can avoid?
Well, one of the main things to think about when you're automating your data warehouse is it's more about automating the process. You are automating the creation of the warehouse, but this is what I've found over my years of doing data warehouses and just doing development period. You spend a lot more time on your application after it's been deployed, a lot more money, a lot more time. And so the real trick is using an automation tool like WhereScape so that you can find the code quickly to make a change, and that everything is GUI based so that you can really just click a few buttons and type as little as possible. When I was doing data warehouse development, I more often than not had to correct my own typos. That was my main bugs. It wasn't that I didn't code properly, it's that I would have a typo. And so using our tools, as opposed to, we are very flexible and open, you can actually take any code you want and cut and paste it into our application at certain points. And technically it's automated, but when you do that, you lose the ability to go in and make your modifications later. So that's one of my main tips that I tell people is, if you can do it through the tool, do it through the tool, as opposed to like a join. We have it real easy that you can click on some buttons and say, this is how I join those two tables. And if we don't have it, we have the flexibility to take templates and stuff like that to help with the automation of the creation of your data vault that create that. So that's one of the tips and tricks, and I really believe that our tool cuts down on the amount of coding you do, which contributes to the success of projects. So one more thing is the business vault. Now, I think Alexis brought it up. We talked about pits and bridges. That's one of the true tips and tricks we have. So WhereScape has now automated that process. So when you run into issues with your data vault not performing like you need it to, you can use these pits, point in time tables, bridge views that give you, that speed up your access to your data. That's one of the biggest tips that I can give you, is use the business vault.
Yeah. And look, I know that WhereScape's really strong with documenting what you've done as well. Your self-documenting kind of capability within WhereScape is very impressive. And when we went through the process of building Iris, we've plugged WhereScape with a governance tool, and I think we really were able to leverage the fact that with automation you get consistent development, and you don't get those errors flow through. So the quality of the metadata is a lot better into the governance tool, and so you can do source to target lineage, and it works with with a data catalog and a business glossary and those sorts of things as well. And the quality of the metadata is really reflective of the quality of the warehouse. So Alexa, for you, maybe what's the best way to get started with automation and WhereScape?
So I think, the first step is requesting a demo. So WhereScape will give, your organization a demo of what our tools can do. We have a demo specifically for Data Vault Express, which will show you our 3D tool in combination with Red, and show you, how you can facilitate, how you can use that really to accelerate your development of your data vault. And then there's also, we will do, we come out and we will do a POC, or I should say nowadays, since we're in a kind of a different time frame with some different things going on with COVID, we do proof of concepts with our customers with their data, and show them, really what we can do for them using their own data in their own infrastructure. So it gives you kind of a way to see how this can work within your environment, just outside of a demo where we're using sample data or that type of thing. So I think that that's a useful thing. And we also have great training. So we have WhereScape University, where people can take classes and see how to use the tool, and it does provide quite a bit of knowledge in terms of how to utilize the tool and kind of get you started. And then we also have professional services that you can call upon to come in and help you get set up with using the tool. But really, the tools are very intuitive in their own, and they have the ability, you can go into the tools and start using them without a whole lot of help, especially if, you've taken the WhereScape University classes. Most people find it very easy to be able to use the tool. I mean, I've been working with WhereScape now. I joined, I think, in March of this year, and in the last couple of months, I feel like, I can do quite a bit with the tool, and am able to really show how to develop your warehouse, your data vault, as well as a standard, warehouse with your facts and dimensions. So I would say, just getting in touch with your sales rep and getting a demo is probably the best way to get started.
Yeah, and look, I'd mentioned we're actually doing a pilot right now for a customer in this region, completely remote because of COVID, and it's great. It's their data. We're remote connecting into the WhereScape that's been deployed into their environment for the pilot. So we're playing with their data, helping them show how Data Vault and WhereScape are going to solve their problem. So it's definitely possible. Look, thank you so much for both joining today. I know it's late where you are and early where I am, but I appreciate having you both on the line for this conversation. It's really good to hear about how automation can help customers looking at Data Vault, and also all the advances that WhereScape's made. So I really appreciate your time. Thanks today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.